right, everyone, welcome back to Inside the Kingdom. Today, we're going behind the panels of one of America's favorite comic strips, Sally Forth. Joining us are the two incredible geniuses who've kept Sally and her family vibrant and relatable. First up, Jim Keefe, who's brought these characters visually to life since 2013. Jim, am I right there?
Yeah, 2013, and also I worked with Craig McIntosh, the previous artist on it, for just a couple years before that.
Yeah, correct. And of course, the awesome writer Francesco Marciuliano, who's given Sally her voice and wit for about 2 decades now. Am I wrong there, Francesco?
About 28 years.
So I've undercut you.
No. It's okay. You were in the. No. It just makes me feel that my bones are desiccating as I'm hearing this number. It's not a helpful number.
No, I think you've been writing it longer than Greg Howard now.
I have, yeah.
Who created the strip?
Yeah, yes, that is true.
So
Greg Howard. Yeah. There we go. And Craig McIntosh, also Minnesotan, who was the illustrator with Greg Howard after the first few years. Yeah. But enough about them. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, enough of those guys, right?
That's the last we will talk of them.
That's it. They had their moment. No, they're really wonderful people, and they made a good.
Oh yeah, I'm going to highlight especially Craig McIntosh later on when we're talking more.
Yeah, let's segue right into that, right? So, Jim, you've been illustrating now for over 10 years. Can you tell us what that's been like, stepping into that role after Craig McIntosh?
Yeah, tell us, Jim.
Tell us. Well, what's fun actually is Ches had no idea that I was actually stepping in initially. Craig McIntosh, he needed some help with the strip. He just had an illness at the time, that he was penciling okay, but he needed help on inking, and just for a little while. And I knew him locally. So he gave me a call and said, hey, could you maybe ink some stuff for me to help fill in? I did that. And what happened was he was still sending stuff FedEx sometimes when the strips were running late. And so I said, oh, I can scan this stuff for you. I can just send it digitally. And he said, yo, hired. So...
the rich and famous standard contract.
Yeah, it was like, and it is. There's a lot of, in comic strips, it's called ghosting, where you kind of are like helping out, assistants who help out on a strip or sometimes draw the strip, but you're really trying to mimic the style of the previous artist so that there's no break in continuity with the reader, because readers hate that. Yeah. And I'm going to talk more about that just quickly. So Greg Howard, who created the strip in the early 1980s, he actually, so after like a decade, he hired Craig McIntosh because he wanted to, comic strips are a heck of a lot of work. So he hired Craig McIntosh, who was he knew locally and was an incredible cartoonist, worked for the Star Tribune. And what was funny is Greg Howard said, okay, like I have he was a lawyer turned cartoonist, much like, who does Pearls Before Swine? Also a lawyer.
Pastis.
Yeah, he's also a lawyer. It's lawyer cartoonist to cartoonist. It's very common. Yeah. So
everyone gives up law eventually.
I know.
And accounting. For some reason, those two fields. Yeah.
But he said to Craig McIntosh, hey, just do it in your style. Don't draw it like mine. You're a fantastic artist. Change the style. I think that would be great. And Craig McIntosh said, oh, is that a bad idea? Like, I'll do it, but is that a bad idea? So Craig McIntosh did that. And the vitriol from the readers, they were like, what is this? We hate this. And it's not like Craig McIntosh, he was an incredible cartoonist, but it wasn't the style the readers were used to. All of a sudden, it was a different style. And so Craig McIntosh, oh God, he had to go back to drawing in Greg Howard's style, and they thought they changed back to the previous artist, but no, it was just Craig McIntosh drawing in that previous style. And
it was like an upgraded version of that style. I mean, clearly it was an artist doing the style now, but yeah.
And the same thing, it was, so me taking over for Craig McIntosh, one of the things I'm going to give myself a couple points here. When I first took over the strip, no one knew that a new artist had come on. because I kept the style tried to mimic it as much as possible to Craig McIntosh, so there wasn't a break in continuity. So they started noting a signature difference, and so that's how they knew a new artist was on.
That's a funny way to spell Macintosh.
That's, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, that's
well, and that's the fun. So as far as taking over the drawing chores, it was up to King Features whether I was hired. So I sent some stuff in, which I sent that
Flash Gordon strip.
That Ches. I did like a Flash Gordon Sally Forth kind of strip together to say, hey, this is how. I mean, I have a different way of doing things, but this is how I would do things.
I still have that strip.
Yeah, and so like that's how I got my foot in the door as far as this strip.
Now you've maintained the style. Have you ever toyed around with giving it your signature Keefe?
I think over the past decade, it definitely has evolved into something else. It's not, if you look at Craig's strips and my strips now, they're not the same.
Yeah.
I mean, the characters, I try to keep the look of the characters, of course, very much the same. And Ches will talk more to this, but just like supporting characters and other characters he's introduced since I've taken over, like they are definitely my take on the characters.
Yeah.
And he has spoken to me about that before, as far as there was that strip where there was a baby shower for.
It was Jackie's baby shower. And I'm not going to talk. I mean, finish your thought. I'm not going to.
No, I'm actually passing off. I'm doing a handoff. I'm like,
baton. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it is a matter of. So I came in with Craig McIntosh.
Yep.
I got the strip because I started in 1997, and they sent me this box of comic strips of 15 years worth of Sally Forth. It was a huge box, and I will say this: when I got the job, and this would be Jay Kennedy at the time. Wonderful man. And when I got the job, because I submitted a strip, and he was saying, we have another strip called Sally Forth. Would you be interested in? I think I said yes between Sally and Forth because I was like, I get to write a comic strip. But he must have picked up on said, have you ever read Sally Forth? And it ran for like a couple months in New York. So I had never seen Sally Forth. And my answer was like, I'm sure it's a really good strip. And so he sent me all this, and in that ream, a lot of it, I did see the Craig McIntosh change when it was a marked change. Jim's change was not that marked because he was working. That said, there were some differences, and part of the reason why the art because there's no one element, everything of it. That when I saw Jim's art style and I saw what Jim referenced, I realized Craig McIntosh, God, he's just a remarkable person. He's just a very nice and a very talented artist. What Jim and I had was a closer realm of reference points.
Right.
And what we knew, just an age thing. And I saw Jim, what he was doing, is like, I think I can start doing other things here. Craig was not holding me back. It was just thoughts that came up once I saw Jim's thing. And that is also when I was feeling confident of my voice in the strip at that point, or at least enough to destroy it, but in my own terms. And because the first few years I was doing a copy of the strip because that's what I was told to do. They're not good years. They're not great years. And that is on me. But once I got it, and once I started introducing my own characters, once I brought in that Sally had a sister, and you learned about the mom, and then Hillary finally had a regular friend, and we started aging them up. Because I didn't even know what age Hillary is. I thought she was 4 or 8, and then it took me a while to get her pigtails to get lost. And eventually, when we did that, and it got changed, and with Jim, and I'd seen his art style with Flash Gordon, by the way, we talked about this before, but I want to say this. That is on my wall. That is Jim's. There's a panel that Jim drew from a Sally Forth thing when Hillary did a story of Flash Gordon for her dad. It's also there because Jim, fantastic artist of the Flash Gordon strip, and that is one of my prized possessions right there. And when I asked Jim to send me the file, and he said, "Well, how big?" and I told him, it was like, "Are you?"
It's drawn this big.
Yeah,
it's literally. It's like, okay, that's
So Jim,
well,
how did you super sample that? Like, how'd you get it to that scale point without distorting?
Oh, I went to a special printer in Brooklyn.
Got it.
And I had to show proof that I had a connection to the art, which I appreciate that they did. And I had to show how King Features let them know I am part of this. Jim, this is Jim's
Yeah, they
email
don't do
saying I
just
could do
they
it.
don't print out copyrighted stuff.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yeah,
And that's a very good thing. And then I had to take a very large Uber to get it over here. And someone was already fixing my bathroom at the time, so they put that in the wall. And yeah, it is. I don't have a lot of art pieces. I never hang stuff of mine up really, and I don't have a lot of photos because I hate people. I'm kidding. I just don't have a lot of photos. I have a ton of photos on my laptop, but that is one of my prize things. I put it up there just in time for my holiday party that year. It got a lot of comments. It's beautiful and it works really well, I think. So thank you, Jim, for making that possible.
Well, and it's also
And
the strip. That Sunday page was very much a homage to that 1980s movie.
it was more the movie than the comic strip because that's what I knew. But I
Yeah.
wanted to go, let's do. Actually, it was a friend who I think, Tom Racine, and he once said, why don't you do something with Flash Gordon because of Jim? And it was like, it all just like, it came in immediately.
Wait
Yeah.
a minute.
Wait a
Did it
minute.
did
I
it
think you can
automatically
draw
play
that.
Queen? Did it automatically play the Queen intro as soon as it came into the
Yeah,
doors
but
and
I think
everything?
it's going to play like that song 38 when they talk about the space travel when they have to leave their planet. That Queen, because that's a really that Robert did. But I will say, once I saw what Jim was doing, that started to change the strip because it might have been the part where Sally Forth started to get a little larger
Yep.
in scope. There is a year that I think Jim and I consider one of our favorites because we were going to do the book there. The summer was they went to a kaiju theme park. And I was extremely happy to know I could write it and it would be seeing exactly what it was. I can't speak to Jim's joy because he actually had to draw it. And I don't know how small the thing, but I just like once I visualized it, that's the thing with Jim. It was the same with Craig, but these are different touchstones for what we can do. When I write something, I do tend to over explain because I need to visualize the scene description. And then I tell Jim, ignore what I just said. It's just from my head and whatever. And
Well,
I know.
I'm going to give you
Go ahead.
huge credit here. Yeah, this is Mutual Admiration Society. But what I really appreciate, because we've both been working it. I mean, we're not new at this. We've both been working at this a while. Like I don't nitpick as far as what he's sending me back to him. He gives me it, and then he pretty much is like, hey, you can play with this visually. This is what I have in my head. I trust you to do something visually which makes sense to you. So like that's like I don't know if listeners know, but like sometimes like that isn't the case with writers and artists.
Right.
You can have people who have never talked and they don't like talking to each other, but they have this job.
Yeah.
And so and that makes it that much harder. It's so labor intensive to put that level of like, oh, this is a misery on top of it is just like, so I really appreciate the working relationship
I'm
we
glad.
have where we can play with it.
I'm glad.
Well,
That's
go ahead, French. No, go ahead.
No, Alex, please go.
No, I was gonna say that's actually a perfect segue into what I was gonna tap into now, and I don't want to lose that string. Is that
No, we can always bring it back. We'll commandeer it later. Don't worry.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
all
just
good.
come on back all over the place.
Yeah, we're
So
just gonna.
obviously the process seems to start with you, Francesco. You start the script, you send it over to Jim. How did that evolve over time? Like speaking to what Jim just mentioned in the beginning, I'm assuming there was a period of just like. No
I gotta
contact,
say, I'm gonna jump into that because Ches already had that set up with Mac,
Got it.
like Craig McIntosh. So it was a case of
Yeah, by that time I was doing like 16 years of Craig on that sort of level. Yeah.
Yeah, so he sends me the script. Actually, like what I do, and I've never shown this to Ches. But he sends me a script, and we have one coming up. Speaking of the Kaiju theme park, we have another Godzilla one coming up next month.
Yes, we do.
So another Sunday strip. So he will send me a script. I actually like I can work on the Wacom tablet. I do stuff digitally lettering, but I just like hands-on stuff. So I will this is a Sunday script. And this is for the Godzilla strip. And this is unrecognizable what's down here except to me. It's little circles like me kind of figuring it out. So it's like, here's his script, and here's me this isn't the drop panel. This is just the main body of the strip. just taking his script and kind of plotting it out how I want it to work visually. And once again, I will change stuff around. This doesn't have any script in it, so you'll get an idea of what it looks like, but it won't give away the gag. And then visually,
Oh my
I can work it
God,
out from
Jim.
there.
Oh, that looks amazing.
And it's like,
Oh, Jim,
ugh.
that is so beautiful.
You got to get the big. You can hear Godzilla hopefully when you see that.
I wrote that like
Sidebar,
5
can I
months
get
ago.
a-
Yeah.
I was gonna say sidebar. Can I get a scan of that? Just
Yeah,
sent
that-
to me.
What's amazing is I think I wrote that 5 months ago. I'm like, I'm interested to see what comic that is.
Yeah,
But I wonder what
that's
happens
what's so
in it.
weird. When this sees
Yeah.
print, we're both on to we're months
yeah.
down the way, and it's like, oh, that's coming up. Well, and I gotta say too, like, still like coloring it. I'm old school, where this is the color guide for it. Like, I take it, I print it out.
Oh, now I
and
remember the
do
strip. Yeah.
A color guide. If you look close, there's little numbers there.
Oh yeah.
And that corresponds to yellow, magenta, cyan,
Yep.
color guide stuff. And it's very old school, traditional. David Strode down at RBMA, King Features, Orlando. He then takes that, colors it. I appreciate the care he's putting into it as well. And this is not a knock on David. This is a knock someone. I got to make sure of this.
You hear that,
when
David? You hear
Yeah,
that?
heads up, David. This isn't a knock on you. When I was a colorist at King, that was one of my first jobs on staff. Starting back in the late 80s. A guy who I was coloring for, he was like, God, I really appreciate your coloring. And then he said, because usually, no matter how good the art, no matter how good the writing, the colorist will ruin it. And I was like, whoa, hey. And he's like, no, I appreciate the work you're doing. That's what I'm saying.
You know what? I can totally understand that, because here I'm sitting disconnected from that process, multiple levels, right? I'm here on the digital side of things and sharing the content, whatnot. The platforms, if the color profile isn't saved right, sometimes it does this weird kind of like neon.
Yeah, it's the
neon. We've seen that.
CMYK, and it's
Right.
printing that way instead of RGB.
Right.
It's-
And
yeah,
it
not using
it
the
takes
right
away from
pigment,
the whole
yeah.
art. The minute you see it and you're like, what is
No.
this? And you lose the gag, you lose the art, you lose everything as soon as the color's off. Yeah.
You're
and
like,
it's
I
weird.
don't remember asking for this much lime green.
Well, and it's weird too, because when I color it, it's seeing print in newspapers and online.
Yep.
And it is a weird process, because there should be two different ways of coloring for those different mediums. Because newspaper strip coloring is way too strong for, like, they have
Right.
gloss, with the glossy paper or online.
Right.
So you have to play with that to kind of, you're coloring it once for both mediums, which is like, in a way, a no-win situation. But you try to, well, and it's the making sausages aspect of this industry. Like, we're making a product, and it has to be done every week. And it's just like, that's not the things they tell you at art school. Just like the day-to-day, hey, the deadline's at 4 and it's going out whether you're done with it or not, or else you're not here anymore.
This feels like a PSA moment for like up and coming cartoonists and people that still
Exactly.
Do you know what I really?
It's actually a good thing to know.
Yeah, mentorship as far as working on this strips is so crucial because of all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like, I worked at King Features. There was John Solardo, who was he was one of the editors, and he also worked on Tarzan and Buzz Sawyer. I had him to go to. George Evans, who I ghosted for once, who was an artist, Secret Agent Corrigan. When I first started doing Flash, he was an incredible mentor. Craig McIntosh on Sally Forth, incredible mentor. So I kind of feel, I know some of the artists today have it harder, because I was able to go on staff and be with these people and work with them. Even Craig McIntosh, it's not like he was sending me stuff digitally. I went down to his studio and he let me sit next to him. And I said, what brush? I want to draw like you are. So what brush are you using? What I want to see the exact setup. And a lot of times artists today, they go to art school, they learn a lot of stuff online, but they don't have that one-to-one mentorship, which that's hard. That's hard, because you don't get like the making sausage aspect of it. Like, here's how you have to do it. And one more
Yeah.
story, because I'm literally taking over this podcast.
It's okay, Jim. Keep speaking. Yeah.
When I first started working at King
Bathroom
Features,
break. Okay.
yeah, Ches just walks away half hour later.
I'm making
without
myself a
bit.
sandwich, people. I'll be back.
Is he still talking? Okay.
No.
But there was a guy who was head of the comics art department, Francesco, when I first started. He had started literally just pushing a broom there back in the day, and now he was the comics editor of the comics art department. And he was the guy who just made sure the trains ran on time. And so I'm fresh out of the Kubert school, and he's showing me, this is back when you waxed captions and put them on the strips before scanning them. It wasn't digital. So I'm waxing them, and I'm putting the T-square on, and I'm getting it exact because I'm going to do this so well. And he's watching me do this because I'm measuring it out and then putting it down. I'm like, oh, he's going to be impressed by this. And Frank was like, yeah, don't do that. Eyeball it. We have so many of these to do. You will never get done. Like, you will never finish doing this unless you got to pick up the pace. You cannot spend that much time on each one. And you need that kind of experience to make you a better artist professionally.
Yeah, there's something.
I'm going to
exactly.
take it up.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Francesco.
No, go ahead, so because I'm going to go off, I think.
Okay, I'll talk.
Right, so I'm going to take. So, Jim, back to you. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to take up from Jim because Jim is saying about the very precise. I will say this as someone who has anxiety, so OCD tendencies. I do appreciate that I do appreciate very much about Jim because Jim is precise with an artwork that doesn't seem precise. That seems realistic and natural. But I know how much he's putting into it. I know the photos he takes. I know the reference points he uses. Sometimes I'll send him visuals just in case I'm mentioning some odd characters, like this is it or this is what I'm visualizing, and then he can use whatever. But that is the level of it is been one. And I just want to say Mike Manley because I work on Judge Parker. I am blessed that I have two artists who are artists, who are very professional, very talented, and are very serious about their job. They have fun with it. I hope they do. I hope I'm not boring them to death with this.
Mike Manley is so damn good.
He is. He is a remarkable artist. I want to make sure that gets said here because, as I said, I'm very lucky to be working with the both of them. So the script, initially, I used a template that Greg Howard did. I changed it a little bit. And we have a special font. We have the Sally Forth font. Which we're going to change to Papyrus and Zap Dingbat just to play with everybody.
Wingdings.
But Wingdings, just run through it. Good luck, And what we used to have initially were facial expression numbers. It's like Sirius is a number 3, which occasionally shows up. Number 2, smile thing. And there was always the one, number 13.
It's just shortcuts. Shortcuts for writing.
It's shortcuts. And that helps. I've changed that a little. So Jim makes a very good point I'm going to unfortunately undermine. But he's right. But there was one called 13.5. That was the smirk. And listen, I'm not knocking smirk, but I will say this. Please know what I'm saying writing-wise is what I like to write and what I think works for Sally Forth. This is not saying anyone needs to ever do this. My thing is I don't want the character to look like they know they're telling a joke. Sometimes in real life, people do tell a joke and they laugh in the character. I like watching TV shows when someone's funny and the other character laughs because it's an actual conversation and they have a good time. But I'm not a fan of exclamation points. I loved Mad Magazine growing up as a kid, but it gave me a headache. It's like, why is everyone shouting? I just keep hearing rim shots the entire time. But I think Sally Forth doesn't work well with that. Other strips do. But Sally Forth, I like a very conversational strip, which I'm going to bring up to the hell that brings Jim every so often. So one of the strips, the two strips I grew up loving and why I wanted to do this was Peanut. These are the ones that always get cited, but there's a reason. Peanuts and Doonesbury. Peanuts I love because the humor was character-based and character-driven. Plus, as a very anxious kid, it was the first time as a kid I saw a kid dealing with depression. Yet this kid kept going. And it was very energizing me. It was something I needed to see. And the humor gets surreal, and the humor would get dark, because one of the things I realized that humor can't be all, I mean, it can be, but I don't like humor where it's all light, because then it's airy and ephemeral and kind of disappears. Everything casts a shadow. And I like that Charlie Brown would show the shadow of what happens between these kids, and he was realistic like this. Doonesbury I loved for two reasons. By the way, I was reading in the 70s. Do you think I got any of the political thing? No. I was a little kid during the NAM, but I'm not going to go, I get that reference to Da Nang. No, that's not happening. But Doonesbury did two things. Whatever happened in Doonesbury was remembered in the strip, which happens with more dramatic strips, and Outsider, for better or for worse, doesn't really seem to happen, didn't happen as much with comedic strips. But I like that very much, because when you're growing up in the 70s, remember when a TV show had gone, the next week you start from scratch, whatever happened last week is completely forgotten, because you couldn't catch a rerun until summer. The other thing with Doonesbury is the joke happened in the third panel, the reaction happened in the fourth panel. And suddenly it wasn't someone telling a joke, it was someone having a funny conversation. And I felt like these characters were talking. I was listening to people talking, not people delivering lines. And Doonesbury taught me that. Now, Sally Forth has 3 panels, so I can't do the reaction. What we do get, though, is you see there's a lot of dialogue in Sally Forth. I'm not lying about this, because I also have to cram joke and reaction, and I like to hear these characters talk, which is another way of saying I like to see my writing. But I like
This is like a
characters.
Yeah,
it is. It is. I notice how everyone went quiet. It's like, oh God, I thought this was fun.
It's like,
no. This is fascinating.
no,
This is fascinating.
go on.
Yeah, go on. Oh, Jim will tell you pretty much all he needs to know about me is in the damn strip. But so I like rhythm. You'll see the characters say sometimes. You'll see they go I don't know, like they're stuttering the thing because they're uncertain. I like those things. I like the sound of language, and I like seeing it in printed term. The problem every so often is that they are verbose characters, and every so often Jim, for completely practical reasons or everything, will send me a panel where the only art he could fit in were the eyeballs at the bottom, because it's a wall of text. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. There are times when 3 characters will speak in one panel. And Jay Kennedy at the beginning caught this and said, try not to use more than 20 words per panel. And I did that for 1.5 years. Back in 1999, I think that was the last time I did that. So that stopped a long time ago. But what I'll say is when Jim, so I give that, we give the descriptions, we give the numbers, but now with Jim, I go, they're contemplative, or they're like this. I'll add other things that I know Jim is a very emotive artist and he'll be able to capture on the face. Mm-hmm. So what we have is I will send Jim scene descriptions, do what you want, dialogue, see what you can do. And then he will break down the boxes in ways I never thought of doing. He will have inserts that I didn't see coming. The way you just saw the Godzilla thing was not the way I saw it, but I'm so much happier that that's the way it is. And that's it, each time it's that. And Jim and I think, like he was saying earlier, I think we do work well together because we're not getting in each other's way. I think we respect each other for what we do. As you know, Jim and I met for the first time a couple of months ago.
I was going to bring that up.
It only took a decade.
Yeah. It only took a decade. And I will say this, and I say this because it's funny. Jim said at one point, it's like, it kills me to say, but your writing's pretty good, Ches. And I was like, it kills you to say? I was like, this might have been is this the most Minnesota compliment I've ever received in my life?
It's like
No,
but I'm going to be honest, it meant the world to me. It's going to be honest, it meant the world to me.
It was great to see you guys in person, myself for the first time, but just to hear that you two hadn't actually visually seen each other, I should say, outside of, I guess, Zoom. Have you ever even done Zooms, or is it just email?
Not
once.
I think
we did one Zoom with.
But I don't think it was visual. Was it even visual? I think it was just audio.
That's why we both wore that big corsage so we could spot each other at Mocha Fest. Because otherwise, I'll be the one with the sun hat. Yeah.
Just following what you're saying there about your writing and everything. At one point that I guess question I had for you, right? And Jim, this also feel free to chime in here because I think you're both in the same world. How do you keep Sally Forth so relevant and fresh? It's been so long running, right? And how
I like the way you phrase that question, by the way. But
well, no, and I will say you just you've really have your own voice on it. Like you've said, when Sally Forth started and Greg Howard, he really hit on something in the 80s, because it's literally the 80s and there's no female representation.
It's
Like
82 when the strip came out.
Yeah, and you had Kathy, as far as like artists, female artists even coming in. You had, for better or worse, you had Kathy Guyswhite doing Kathy, Lynn Johnson for better or worse, and then so you had like, here's female voices, but generally a lot of strips were, it was the home, the house, the wife was the homemaker.
Yep.
So Greg Howard, who is a creature of his times, he's very much like, okay, that's not today. And he did the strip with an incredibly strong a female character who had a job at an office, had a
two-income family, which was also not seen in strips.
Yeah, and those first strips are so not the happy homemaker. Like they are funny because Sally just gets so mad at her boss, and it's like, God, like, look at the old strips, they're fabulous. I'm not gonna, nothing worse like than me explaining a strip.
No, but I will say, you ever look at Old Family Circus when the parents come in? It's like they're drinking a lot. They can't deal with the fact they got 5 kids. They're like, so it's sort of that,
But that's the strip Greg Howard's strip was. That's why it made it so successful, and it was as successful as it was. It was a strip that was needed, and he was funny. I mean, if it's not funny, it doesn't matter the concept. Yeah. So the strip just took off, and thanks to Greg Howard, Craig McIntosh comes in. We have another level added to it. It's now the handoff to Ches. I really think, and he can speak to this more because I'm once again talking a lot. But like,
did you just hear my therapy session earlier?
Yeah,
that's good. You're good.
But it's it's his voice. Like, he's not trying just to mimic. Like, here, do these kind of characters this way. Wasn't there a strip you did where Ted was having like an out of body experience early on? And Jay was like, hey, what are you doing here with the strip?
I will say this, So Jay
and that
calls
was like,
me.
You said that was a turning point.
That was a turning point, because what Jay says, like, because the Ted character was secondary, which it should have been, especially for that time, for that strip. The thing is, as Jim was saying, the strip was very much a working woman. And this is a new force, it's a working woman. If the strip's focus right now was just suddenly, she's a working woman, it'd be a little weird.
Isn't that crazy?
Look who's no longer wearing skirts. It'd be kind of odd and antiquated. But, they're allowed, but it's, so it couldn't be that strip. And the Ted character was secondary, and it was like a reaction to South Park, and that was necessary and everything. But I didn't really understand Ted that much. So I tried to write Ted at the very beginning was very much a Gen X character, which you have to lose over time because they're not aging at the same rate. And also, no one knows what the hell Gen X is anymore. But
no one knew back then.
No one knew back then. We knew we watched Schoolhouse Rock. But with he calls me up and he says, "You're making Ted crazy." I said, "No, I mean that's how I reacted. That's me." And there's just this pause, and he goes, "I know." And I was like, "Oh, he thinks I'm nuts." But he also didn't tell me to stop. He just said, "Just mind where you're going with it." And then Jim looked over my scripts for the first couple of years because it was a brand to maintain, and I completely get it. And then after a certain point, it's like, okay, you're good to go. And once that happened, that's when the changes happened. Slowly, but then Faye was introduced, the family. We had a 40th anniversary strip, and Sally goes to visit original Sally, and original Sally is shocked to find out she's got a sister and a mom because those weren't characters in the strip at that time. And we've changed it a lot, and a lot of it comes to everything that Jim brings into it. And when he mentioned the baby shower. When I saw what he did with the baby shower, when I saw the people involved and everything, I remember the person I was dating at the time, I just turned to her and went, something's changed. I'm on a wavelength, I think, with this person, which Craig was fantastic. There was just an agent who's like, I think I can do something here. I think I can ruin this man's life.
And that was a case where you just wrote, like, Jackie is in a room with a bunch of other women. So
yeah,
all the other women were like, I could draw any way I wanted because it wasn't any established characters.
And I think that helped. And once we saw what happened, that helped us establish other characters. That helped us Jim is very, very good at all the characters. I love how he draws the Hillary, Nona, and Faye. They
Mhm.
are my favorite. I love that trio. I love spending time writing for them. I love how he does it, especially as more and more time went on with Jim. I was like, I'm going to keep putting them in the comic book shop. They need a place to go. Jim knows so much about graphic novels and comic strip, and he has a comic strip that shop that he actually bases the shop on in the strip. And it was just fantastic. And the one thing I think, because Jim and I talked about it, it's like when they're together, if you notice, like Hillary has, we were 14, she Duncan, sort of boyfriend, if you want to pick 14. But if you notice, they never talk about boys.
Mhm.
And I didn't want these three girl characters talking about boys. We wanted them to talk about what's important to them, which is the band or whatever they're writing. It was all creative endeavors because that's not what we want. If you notice, there isn't a lot of time spent at this school because they're not the popular kids, but I don't want it to be about how they're not the popular kids. I don't want to have, the popular kids or the bullies or anything. It's like, I dealt with them in real life. I don't want to give them a voice in this strip. It's not necessary.
Right.
They are in their world. They are very happy in their world. We don't have to do that. So that's why the school element is always them. It isn't like, oh, are we going to win this or how? It's just very calm here. And I babbled too far. I don't know where the point I was making. I
Well,
go
no.
back to
Well, I
therapy.
will.
Anyway, it all began with my dad.
Well, and I'm going to jump in. Good segue, by the way, because with that kaiju, I'm going to mention as far as your
Yeah.
dad goes. Like one of the things about the strip too that I think, and this is as far as Chez's writing connecting to readers.
Right.
The same year we did the kaiju story, later that year we had Chez did a story where Ted's dad dies, and I think it was only a year before that Chez's
It was
dad
a
had
year
died.
after my dad passed away. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and it is like, okay, this is a heavy topic for a comic strip, of course, but it's also because he had just gone through it, and everyone, we all go through those kind of, like how it connects with readers. We all go through someone close passing away, but all the ridiculous stuff you have to deal with
Yeah.
alongside of that happening. Like and it's not like, hey, here's a quick gag we can make out of this, but just like, isn't life crazy kind of aspect to it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
it
think-
was interesting to go from kaiju that year, the kaiju theme park, to Ted's dad dying,
Right.
and be able to make that jump. And I think that's what keeps readers, because we had, I think it was the Washington Post just had reader comments on that one,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
just
and
saying
we
how
got
it
it
just
all.
touched them.
And that's I think
And
that's tapping into a lot. But before I even change, go ahead, Francesco.
no, I'm sorry. So the thing about the TED thing, about the father passing away, it was based precisely on what I went through. So occasionally you go, that's not what happens. It's like, all right, it didn't happen to you. That's fine, but that's what happened. But I think it's part of what we try to do here with the strip is we try to be particular because oddly enough, being very particular is very universal. If you go vague, well, he had this disease and that's what it is, it all kind of just floats out into the ether. When you are particular, people, even if they have the experience but not that particular experience, connect with it more. There are signposts they can see. There's something they can hold on to. And we tried to make it very realistic. Like when Ted gets the call, he would just happen to be washing his hands. He can't slip the thing and make the phone go or anything. He doesn't even answer the call. And it was just like, here's that odd, silly moment that happens before you find out the news that's going to change anything, because that's what happened here. And there's a line of dialogue that I took verbatim when I was, setting up everything because nothing had been planned, for my dad's funeral service. And at the end, it was like, so do I write you a check? He says, well, you got a check, but if you use your card, you get points. He's right. But that's also not the statement you expect to hear at this moment. And I just looked at him and said, this is going to get more surreal before it gets normal again. And he goes, yes, it is. And I had that in there, that exact exchange, because when I heard it, I went, I didn't expect that, but he's right. But that's very odd. And Jim, during this, we had shots where it's quiet in the hallway. Once you find out he passed away, we don't make this big thing. Oh, you don't say anything then. It's Ted in the hallway and Sally alone at a distance in the hospice wing. And Jim did this beautiful illustration. And we got some people who were saying, this is not what I want to see in a comic strip. I want to see fun and everything. And they're not, if that's what they want, they're not wrong. We're not saying that.
Yeah.
But we did get a lot of people who were very grateful that we showed this because it was complicated. Ted's relationship with his dad was complicated.
You know, that's actually where I was going to touch on is the fact that the reader side of this, and the one thing that I consistently see from readers, and obviously you guys have spoken to this right now, is that the characters are so relatable, right? And that whole evolution of
Oh,
these
thank
characters
you.
is that. So I'm super happy that you already led there with the fact being so particular. Is it kind of like your method to do this? Is that a
It
concerted
is.
effort across characters?
It is. I mean, I wouldn't say conservative because this is the way I've been writing for a long time and this is the way
Mm-hmm.
I do humor, but I like to be particular. Like if you're going to say, this is the very, very, very simple way. If you're going to say a candy bar, name a brand. Don't say candy bar. If you say Snickers, people visualize it. If you're
Right.
particular, they visualize it so they can see the story, they can connect to it. If you say, oh, passed away of an illness, no, you say something specific. You don't want to visualize an illness, but they can,
Right.
if you give them images, they can connect with the story more. It's actually, and for humor, that's crucial. Even I know we're talking about a serious moment here, but yeah.
Right.
Well, and the way Ches writes, it is funny because as far as it being more universal, like it'll be where, oh, say Sally's mad at Ted about something
Mm-hmm.
or makes a comment about Ted. Like some people, like friends of mine will be like, "Oh, did you write that about Deb and you?" And I'm like, "I don't
And
write
that's fantastic.
it."
Yeah. And I'm happy to hear that. And
Like
yeah,
so
and
it
what
is like it connects it people make those connect it is interesting. It's like a Rorschach test sometimes because Ches is writing this about particular things
Mm-hmm.
and people take it like how they literally like, oh, this is how I see it and this is how it is and this is how I connect to it. And it's
that's
sometimes
what you want.
very different than what you expect just because it is like, oh, that's you and Deb, obviously. And it's like,
Have
Ches has not even met Deb, so
have there been moments for you, Jim, where you take Francesco's writing in that sense? Let's say he's depicting a Snicker bar, but you just see a different vision, and you go ahead and say we're gonna go Kit Kat
do you
here or
know? I
something.
will say, like the comic book shop. That okay. Here's an example.
Yeah.
Like I used to base like they go to a comic book shop, the Hillary Faye and Nona, and I had a local comic book shop that's after COVID it closed down, but that's the one I kind of patterned it
Mm-hmm.
after. And since then, my daughter Tessa, who she works for Hachette now, the book publisher.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up, she was really into comic books, and this female readership. It was very much. She wasn't going to a comic book shop per se. I was thinking this the last few years. There's bookstores and the places that really have graphic novels and things that appeal to her that a comic book shop per se wouldn't have. So I actually base the place they go now, a local shop called an indie bookstore called Majors and Quinn, which has just this huge graphic novels and
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff. So once again, and it's that personal connection where I think that connects. I think that just connects to readers, because and same
It helps
thing.
to ground things. Yeah.
Yeah, and even when he does like he'll do specific things. Like if they're at a park, it's going to be a local park here in Minneapolis. Like I will
Yeah.
literally draw the turtle
Yeah.
fountain from Lake Harriet down the street. Like so, there's a lot of I think personalizing it that way. It's not so vague. Once again, that ethereal thing you were saying, where if it's so vague, it's just
You
it
can't
doesn't connect.
connect, you can't see it, so you can't connect to it, so it
Lose it.
doesn't hold. And the particulars are important. So Jim's saying that he's using his thing. I will say to Judge Parker. So if you notice, most comic strips, they don't tell you where they are, and that makes perfect sense
Yeah.
because you want it to be applicable to as many readers as possible. You don't want to do anything. What I've done with Sally Forth, we've done, I should say, but I mean, when I write the thing, is Sally Forth, I consider they live near Jim. I don't say it, but I consider they live in the Minneapolis suburb area. That's where when I say where they are, that's where they are. That way we get 4 seasons, which is great visually.
Yes.
But we just there and that's it. Whereas, say, Judge Parker, we didn't have a town name. So I came with Cavalton, which I loved at the time. Pain in the ass. I always forget how to spell the damn thing. Sometimes I have to look at it. But I told Mike, it's in Pennsylvania because Mike works out of Pennsylvania. I hope he doesn't mind my saying that. And so it's like, you do the visuals of Pennsylvania and we're good because it helps. We did last year when they went to New York City.
Yeah, I
Jim
love the
lived in New
summer
York
trip.
for a long time. And our whole thing is like, we're going to show you New York City, but we're not going to show you travelogue New York City. Yes, we're going to get things and they're going to visit, but this is going to be our New York. They spent so much time at Strand Bookstore because I think we both love that bookstore, the bookstore area,
Yeah.
but it's just, we didn't want to go and, we didn't want to like the equivalent from National Lampoon's Vacation. There's Big Ben, it's like, oh, there's the Empire State Building. We just wanted, this is the park, this is Fort Tryon Park over here where I live. I wanted them up there. And so, yeah, all this helps, even if the reader hasn't been there. They're not just floating. It's not just floating before your eyes.
Might I add, the one thing missing from the summer strip, they should have visited Hearst Tower. Should have come on over.
And then they would have just disappeared because they would have been in the creation thing, and their brains would have just exploded. They would have been the most fourth wall thing we could have ever done in that strip, and this strip does that a lot.
We have Alex walking by in in the background.
Yeah, just out of nowhere.
Hey, shouldn't you be in the papers? Wait, what? And that's the thing. When I grew up, I used to like a lot of metafiction, which is like Don DeLillo, Calvino, and everything and stuff. So I like sometimes stories that are aware they're stories. So that it started with Ted going, I think we're commoners. There's something going on here. And there's a fun aspect to that there's a slight awareness, because then you can start to stretch it. Doonesbury did that later on, that the characters would address the reader directly. Our characters don't do that. But you get a little stretchiness to what you can do with the reality. And I like that aspect. If you notice a strip like Hillary, Nona, and Faye can occasionally read each other's minds. Now, that seems like it's completely fanciful. But when you try to do things, you try to ground it. When you are friends with someone for a long time, you do kind of know what they're thinking. You get a sense what they're thinking. Even when they're quiet, you get a sense in the context, you get that. That's what that's based on. So I did that to show how tight of a core they are. But it's a little more fanciful, so you get a little more jokes out of it. But that's when you want to do the fanciful stuff, there needs to be a foot on the ground. And we're lucky because we're a strip that looks like it's about a family. And frankly, we can Trojan horse so much insanity that we wanted to this, as long as we keep that 1 foot on the ground.
Oh, Godzilla.
With, once again, having Godzilla enter the panel. It's just, okay, that's happening.
It's a beach day with the fourths,
Yeah. And then,
but if you notice, when you see that strip, the joke is about their experience, not more the Godzilla. It's kind of just this little sort of, it's a normal experience just blown out.
Yeah.
Well, and he's grounding it with, as far as how it identifies to readers. And with me, it's the visual, once again, it's the visual cues where they're like, okay, I understand where they're at. It's not, because of the space limitations, sometimes backgrounds.
Yeah, do something about that, Alex.
Yeah. But that's, I appreciate as far as, it's one of those things where it's just the strips are getting so small. So backgrounds are like, you see so many strips without backgrounds, which once again, they're a pain to do. But I really like when I grew up like reading Spider-Man, it was drawn by Ross Andrew at the time. Mm-hmm. And he was drawing New York. Like John Romita was drawing New York when he was doing those strips. I remember my first time in Manhattan, and I saw the Essex, the building Essex House. Is that the name?
Essex House, yeah.
And they have the type on top. And I'm like, John Romita drawing. Like I immediately was like, I knew sites in Manhattan because of John Romita and Ross Andrew drawings. And I really, like when we did the New York story, that was like, he was sending me all this, Ches was sending me all this reference. Like, if they know
there were some photos I took,
to recognize this place, because that's like all that stuff. Because it makes a huge difference. I think it just they're in an environment. They're not just floating heads.
And that's what, and we try to give them that so it grounds it. Now, we also try to write that you don't have to know this. So if Ted because I'm older, if he mentions REM and stuff, that's not the joke. That's a part of it. You don't want it to be where the joke is necessary. You've got to know this pop culture, be this thing. And every so often we try to be realistic that, Ted or Sally, there was a point where, and I just made this because I don't know how many, one of my favorite movies was LA Confidential, and Hillary's about to go to take finals, and I took a line from LA Confidential where Ted said, wear a smart suit and ace him today. And Hillary just looked at him. He's like, LA Confidential, whatever. when Ted and Sally make their pop culture reference, Hillary will say, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not a given that there is a generational given. So when we have Hillary mention bands and various things, we try to keep in mind her age. We ask, we do, you having children help, that we try to make sure that they're not going, wow, so Hillary's really into Pipers at the Gates of Dawn, first Pink Floyd album. Okay, I guess why not? Let's do that,
Well,
So,
and I would
which a person
They're
could
just
be.
stuck
A
in an
person
era,
could be.
right? They're just
No,
like,
but I
stuck
would
in
walk
an
into
era.
my daughter's room, and because I'm like, believe it or not, I'm
Dad's
not,
here, just walk and look at the walls. No
but
privacy.
literally,
Back,
like,
I'll be out.
I would just take a poster and say, okay,
Yeah.
I'm drawing that in Hillary's room. Because
You had a Harry Styles poster at one point.
Yeah, it was a Harry
on the
Styles. It
background,
was and it was very much like, okay, that's what the kids are listening to these days. But if you
What was the
don't,
J-pop band that you found that we started putting in? What was their name? Oh God,
Baby Metal.
They were fun. Baby Metal, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and it's
I
important to
love
have
this.
those things which are of like that's the thing. So
Yeah.
Ches and I are both that hip Gen X but it's important not just to. But if we just write the strip that all the character references are that generation, it's like you're gonna like
It's not
Hillary
real.
will make no sense.
Absolutely.
Hillary will make no sense.
Absolutely. That's
And
actually
because
called-
it's a shifting thing, you got to keep that in mind that you keep shifting it.
Oh yeah.
But as long as they're
that's
coming,
a weird thing to deal with.
and that's a
strips.
weird thing. But you also have to realize they're coming from different voices, different experiences, different characters. They don't have a shared life experience. They certainly don't have a shared age. You wanted to know that you just can't have one thing in every. It's sort of like when you start out and you write humor and you go, this makes sense because it's funny in your head. And you're like, I don't get it because there's no context points. You need the outer context to allow if you can get a joke that works. You want the joke to work in and of itself. If you get a little extra, someone else catches an Easter egg, that's perfect. But you can't make the Easter egg the joke, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Speaking to that, switching gears a bit, but still staying on topic there. This is again relates to the fans. We asked them to submit some questions to us prior to this.
Oh dear God.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Okay, I gotta go.
Yes, occasionally I do sound like Ray Romano on podcasts, and Jim's more of a Jim Henson, so we're all good. We're done here.
We got in quite a few, and we whittled it down.
Oh, it's better than none.
Just
Okay.
to like two.
Oh.
Like, all right, let's keep it really, really light and just look through this.
Can't tell politics
What were some
from
of the
here
other
up in.
ones? Well,
You know,
no, now
let's
I want to
bring
know
up
what
the
some
time.
of the dark ones were.
Let's bring up the time, Ted. No. So
Yeah.
one of the really, really, I love this question myself, and as a fan myself, I wanted to know, for each.
What
of
the
you,
hell is wrong with you two when you? Okay.
yeah,
No, I said that was the
made you-
question.
What made you do? No.
Why do you think you should be doing this? I'm sorry, Alex. Go
No,
ahead.
I love it, Chess. What's your favorite storyline, or or character moment for that matter? That's for both of you. So Chess, you first, and then Jim.
I'll
This
jump
may be
in
actually
because
hard. Yeah,
I'm going to jump
go
in
ahead,
because you didn't talk fast enough. So
We're both from New York, so we know the speed. All three of us in New York, so we know the speed that we're doing.
Oh, yeah,
right?
we know.
go.
Yeah.
No, one of the things. Well, once again, Ches letting me just play with strips. Like, there's just certain instances where, like, I don't have to call them up and say, "Hey, what if I was wondering?" It's just like, "Hey, I have this image in my head and I want to see if it works." And there was a couple of them where you had one where it was one of the Easter strips with the bunny ears. And
Right.
they were talking. It was just like an episode. Where
It's a
it was
long-running gag that Sally would bite off the
Yeah.
bunny ears when Hillary was younger. Yeah,
Yes,
Chocolate
it was
bunny,
just
I
a
should
strip
mention.
where it was a Hillary and Sally are sitting Ted down and just like saying, "Hey, this was all a ruse, and we never were fighting. This was all actually to mess you up, psychologically." And he wrote it
They're
better
good
than what I
parents.
just said. But
No.
and then in the last panel before you go to current time, it's just Ches wrote it's like so. Ted is like saying, just like screaming, "No, stop it!" And behind him, you see the laughter, ha 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 ha. And
Oh, that's a beautiful panel. Oh my God!
so
I know
what I ended up when I saw that visual, there's a Batman story called The Killing Joke with the Joker.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that ha 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 is where the Joker is the Joker and he's insane.
I
And
kid
I'm
you
like,
not, that's immediately what I saw in my head.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't seen the Sally Forth panel.
Oh my, so no, but I did the whole strip. I did Brian Boland panels. The whole strip is literally panels from The Killing Joke with Ted, Hillary, and Sally instead. Like the exact setup.
Oh, I need this.
And I did it in black and white. I did it in black and white because Brian Boland had recolored it in black and white. Like it was such, and in the last panel where it's current day, I have Hillary holding a Killing Joke comic book, which unless you're looking for it, you wouldn't see. Like that kind of
Which
stuff.
also, we're not even sure if that was age appropriate for Hillary, but still,
Yeah.
but
But
it's fantastic. Yeah.
The strip still worked
Yeah.
with the joke.
You didn't have to know that. You
didn't
didn't
have
that.
to know Killing Joke whatsoever
Yeah.
for the joke to work as far as the Easter egg. And then if you knew what I was doing, it's like, oh my gosh, this is just that level happening too. And just one other strip. Ches has written this strip where Ted's talking to Hillary. They're bringing the garbage down to the sidewalk. And Ches was like, they're walking down the sidewalk and Ted's talking. That was the visual. And in my head, I was like, oh, I got like 6 panels of them walking down the driveway. I was like he had the joke, as far as the script, like boom, it's there. But visually, I was like, oh, how can I play with this? And I literally started from outer space, and then our cosmos, and that while Ted's talking, and then it's the whole city, then it's their neighborhood, then it's them walking, above shot of them walking. And then the last panel is them close up like it was. They just brought but something about Ted giving this long story, which Hillary couldn't relate to, and starting off visually just so far away, just connected to me. Like it worked with the script.
It was beautiful. And I will say, I don't want to interrupt if you're still talking.
No, those are the kind of things I like because artistically, I don't get a call from him going, yeah, don't do that.
The hell are you doing with my baby and my...
And I'm not saying every decision I make will be a home run, but it is kind of like, oh, I can play with this.
So what the strips I like are the ones that we have longer stories, and those aren't necessarily always summer stories. We did the 40th anniversary. Because it's like 40th anniversary, it's like, I've got some good ideas, and who knows if I'm going to remember in 10 years for the 50th, so we're doing this now. And it also happened to be my 25th anniversary at the same time with the strip. And they're introducing until Sally is ripped out of her own, the original Sally is ripped out of her own time and comes to present day. Meanwhile, we go back, and if you see the original time, Sally is actually torn out of the strip. And Hillary is losing the young Hillary, the original Hillary is losing, and Ted's trying to put like a hat where make it okay, like a dad trying to say if there's something trouble, it's okay, it's okay. So that was based on something. When you go, it's normal, when no, it's not normal at all. But it was also fun to write that because we're doing a thing about nostalgia. And then one of the characters, I think one of our favorite, Jenny, who appears every so often in the baseball game, she's the one who used to give Ted the pep talks that he needed. And Jenny just says this thing about the danger of nostalgia. If you keep looking back and you keep seeing this, you're going to become more fearful of what's going to happen. You're going to hide rather than open yourself up. So while it's nice that you're all having this nostalgic moment in the story, remember, you have to keep moving forward and you have to keep growing. Because I think when people do a nostalgia story, it's like, yay, yay. And I can't do the yay. I mean, I was very confident, and I should be for Greg, Howard, and Jim and anything. I would say I was the one who had the 700 vowels. I made fun of myself. But it was nice. I needed that to show there's something. Nostalgia is wonderful, but keep in mind what it can do. What I love is, oh my God. So 2 years ago.
By the way, you couldn't be more
the fourth
New York
act
right now.
What?
You couldn't be more New York right now than you are.
Oh, you mean my voice?
It's
my
like
voice?
You gotta keep going.
You gotta keep going. You gotta keep doing it. All right. So doity, doity, doity. No, so 2 years ago, the Fourths have a vacation. And the Fourths usually a little hapless thing. They have the best vacation. And there's a family staying. And my original thought were the Fords were going to have their usual hapless vacation, and the family was going to come move into their house as an Airbnb, and the neighbors were going to love them. That was my thought. I'm going to preface this by saying, so Jim does his thing, I do. The summer stories, we talk it out before we write them. The summer story is always the thing we discuss. So we discussed this. It's like they're going to be an Airbnb. And I said, fine, we got it and everything. There was a story. Remember, you went to the old West Town, and we did that when it was during COVID, and they each imagined their own summer story. Or when they went camping. The camping story was based entirely in Jim's memories with that. So, and he gave me so much detail that I couldn't pull from on my own. And that's invaluable. So I was writing it, and then the story changed. The Fourths had such a great time. They started... The longer they were away from their house, the happier they were, the lighter they were, because they don't have the responsibility. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the family in the house were slowly being turned into the Fourths. They started having memories they never had before. They started reacting to things they never had before. And the thing was, it's the house. The house did not have the core family, so it needed to turn this into the family it knew. The house needed the source family.
Story.
Just and that's what it was. And I had no plans for that, but that's what it led. And it started transforming them. And only Faye and Nona were realizing, because Faye and Nona also have a key to the house, because they're always in the house, and now they have their own key and they walk in and out whenever they feel. And Ted's always like, how did you get in here? But it was like this until they were ripped out, and it came back, and it wasn't the plan, but it was fun to write that, to see how it turned, to see how it all changed. And a lot of that is discovery. And we did a Halloween episode, which I love, because there is a ghost in the house. It's a given there's a ghost in the house. And occasionally Hillary would talk to him, and the house is haunted. The house has its own spirit. These are things. Yeah. You know, if you notice, everyone will always say, I always thought our house was haunted. It was always like when you're like, hey, we used to hear things. We thought the house was haunted. So this is taking what I've heard a lot of people say. We thought it was haunted. It was an old house, and just made it real. But it was based on people going, oh, our house was weird. There were always creaks and everything. But the one with the story when the doll tries to claim the house because it was the spirit of the old owner in the house, and the doll with Jackie said, better. Jim, first of all, did fantastic, because that went full action. That was smashing down doors with bats, trying to rescue the kids before they got sucked into a dark dimension. And Jim called in an artist to do a Sunday logo panel that was one of the most gloriously frightening things I've ever seen in a panel. It was amazing.
Alex, do you know Swamp Thing written by Alan Moore?
Yes.
So Stephen Bissett and John Toddleben drew that, and that's what actually got me to the Kubert School. I found out those guys went to the Kubert School. I got Stephen Bissett to do that drop panel. He did all the, I drew Hillary with...
It's 2019. It's a 2019.
Yeah, and he drew all these... Just I don't know how it went through editorial. These horrible, nasty creatures around it that were right out of the Stephen Bissett is an incredible illustrator, but it was those kind of things are just kismet when those had happened. It's like, oh, what if I want to draw all these demonic characters?
I'm gonna pull that art and overlay it right now into the episode.
Yeah, I would say it's October 2019 is when it would go.
Okay.
I'm going to say this because Jim mentioned, you mentioned, I got through, when you were saying that. I will say this. We have great editors. They are very good. Love them all. Jen, I remember once I accidentally said zip and I wrote Doctor Who, but I wrote Dr.Who, and she called me back. They're going to crucify you. I said, oh God, did I really? You can't do this. But we don't really get notes as far as I know. I mean, they seem to trust us.
One of the best thing, a good editor, I don't know where I heard this, a bad editor gets in your way, a good editor supports you and lets you just fly.
Yeah. And that's what they are.
And it is a matter of they're we're very fortunate. Once again, it's luck of the draw with so much of this stuff. Yeah. We're very lucky as far as the editors we have.
Yeah, I mean, so down in Florida, we talked about David, but Amy Anderson.
And unheralded. Unheralded heroes down in Florida, Orlando. Yeah. Because just as far as making the sausages, like I said, you got to get this stuff out. It's the editing, the everything, all the proof sheets putting together, sent all the papers. All the work we do is nothing without that support. This
zero.
Team. Yeah. So
and you mentioned Amy Anderson.
Shout out to King Features.
And you mentioned
as
Amy
far as
Ensign.
all
We
the
also
works
say
in the world.
Jennifer Beck and Eilish. Well, they this happens because they keep the ship running and they keep us on track. And the only note I ever got, and this predates Jim, and it was actually from the editor in chief at the time, Brendan Burford, is I wanted Hillary. She was playing a video game. She shouldn't because it was a mature video game, M-rated game. So I needed a name, and I can't use an actual name because you
Right.
just want. It's like when Hillary finds a favorite comic book in New York City last year. I had to make sure I created my own because the last thing you want to do is name check an actual comic strip with an actual artist. The day that runs strips, you find out that person has done the most horrible thing. It's like, oh, dear God, you don't want to. You just want to live in your own bubble, if you
Right.
can.
Right.
You're specific, but specific to the thing. And so the name of the game I used was the Knifing on Knife Hill Knifers Edition because I wanted to sound like an empty. And Brendan calls me, you can't write that. You can't do that. I once had
See,
a character say it sucks, and he's like, nope.
Yeah, it is
Not happening.
amazing.
it's funny how times change, though, right? Because what
Yeah.
I'll say there is like, this is one of those opportunities, I guess, to highlight kind of like how I work with alongside Amy and everything, and I'm part of the sauce, not as much as Orlando is, but I'm
We forgot to
totally.
mention Alex. Alex.
Did I call myself out enough here? No. Anyway, but I'm very much of the free spirited mind here, right? So I'm like, yeah, knife it up, let's go crazy. And then Amy, of course, and I'm revealing this the process. Amy will come behind the scenes like, we cannot run that.
Yeah, quick
cannot.
thing.
Yeah, you cannot kill Popeye. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, but you did kill Popeye.
I beat him up. I didn't kill him.
You beat him
I
up. That is true.
I
You did
up.
beat him
I
up.
beat him up. But no,
So
it's-
to whoever asked that question, we're sorry we didn't answer.
Yeah, whatever that. Whatever.
I think we
Whatever
gave
that
them 5.
Oh my God!
Whatever
was
that
one
concise,
question.
well thought of question was, we blew it.
No, we gave him 2019 October. We gave him a bunch of really, really good stuff.
That was
there.
a half hour.
I'm sorry, Jim. You were saying
Oh,
we didn't give an answer. We gave a treatise each, and I hope that worked out well.
Well, this one is. I think we touched on this a bit. This is the last one. I guess we'll do from the fan Q&A before we move into a quick lightning.
I
and then we wrap
apologize
things
for
what-
up.
everyone with real questions that we didn't get to.
No. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh no,
'cause I
Alex
think-
wants out now.
No. Because
No, I'm
what
kidding.
I
I'm
actually
so
want to
kidding.
see for everyone that's reading it, I mean, everyone that's watching and listening along right now, I would love to see them come to YouTube or our social channels or even just a site in our comment
Oh, yeah.
fields and bring up these questions and ideas to the script there because you guys obviously are seeing those comments in real time.
Yeah.
But then we can always just come back and do like a fun mailbag session with this sort of stuff. From
All right, next Thursday
that'd
we
be-
got
yeah.
in. Yeah, that would
that'd be-
actually be fun. We
Hold
actually
it.
love that.
We need a timer though for our answers. Like,
That is true. That is true.
It's like
So-
no.
Sadly, I talk like I write, so it just doesn't stop. So yeah.
Well, this is going to be a quick one, I think, because I think we talked on
Okay.
this a bit. But all the and next time we'll make sure to keep the commenters' names in here so we can call it out too. But this fan asked, "What's the hardest part of keeping the strip fresh?" I think we talked about how we do it, but what's the hardest part of that?
It's. Do you mind my going first, Jim? on this? I will say with this, it's not. I don't think in my head I'm going, I need to keep this fresh.
Okay.
It is, we need to do ideas. And you're allowed running gags and strips, and sometimes that's a godsend. And you could do there's a Monopoly game they play once a year, and Ted just finds there's the hamburger thing and everything. A lot of it's
Right.
but just making sure that there's an acknowledgement of the reality you're writing in helps fresh. Once I get an idea, it's basically, it's a very old song, it's a very old comment. It's like, you don't tell your characters what you do, you report what they say. But it's true, once you get an idea, once I've got a scenario, once I think, then I listen to the characters. I take very long showers is what I'm saying. But I actually walk 10 miles away, and that's how I write. That's how I do all my writing while walking. Then I come back here and say, well, I forgot all that. No, but then I write it. But to this point, we're going to say something, we're going to be specific, and this is where we're going to blow the time again. To be fresh, I think, is to make sure that we don't want to seem like we're a strip that could have also run in 1970. We do the universal aspects of it, but we want to make sure that it seems safe. So a couple years ago, and you'll remember this time, let's say 5 years ago, we had strips for March, April, and May, all good to go in 2020. And it was this thing about everything's going normal, school dance. And then Jim calls me and we talk about, it's like, and we agreed we can't do this. We can't. The pandemic was introduced into the strip, and it lasted there for a year and a half. And they wear the mask, and of course, I'm going to say this is the only thing. A disease isn't political; it's what you approach to it, everything. But we treat it as this was this. And I'm going to be honest with you, I had to. Right. If I was not writing about it in Sally Forth, I would have had a difficult time dealing with it. Sally Forth helped me address it. Sally Forth gave me a context to give my thought. This strip gives me so much. This strip is therapy for me because Jim will tell you, he's read all of them. He knows every issue I worked out with my dad years after.
I need therapy.
Still having issues.
He uses it as therapy.
Yeah, but we knew we had to do this. Now, people said, do you think all strips should have done that? No. It was everyone's choice. There was no giving. That's a personal goal. We would never say, like I said, I don't like exclamation points or smirking. That's for this strip. I would never say that's universal or anything. But we knew we needed to do this. And even in the recent strip, there was the election. We did nothing political. We just knew it's like, oh, yeah, this is, but that was it. There was a moment going on. And I think that's what it is. The stories you can pull out as long as you get a scenario and you listen to your characters, you can write. But you just wanted to know that these characters have a sense. I know it's going to be weird I'm saying the characters instead of Jim and I, but these characters have a sense of what you're going through to a certain degree, or what your world is like. And I think then you can have a conversation, like I did with Doonesbury, because I knew who the character. You can have a conversation. So they wore masks for a year and a half. They did. Not in the house, but once they were outside. Mm-hmm. And I think Jim and I agreed for us that was the smart thing because
and some readers hated it.
They despised.
I joined after tail end of Pandemic, but I saw some of that in the older sites.
Yeah, and we stayed once again. We tried to stay away from political.
It was apolitical.
It was just what's happening.
Right.
Yeah, we're not saying anything other than this is what we're doing. This is what everybody's going through. Right. When the vaccine was available, they got their shots. And it wasn't like that wasn't a political statement. It was just like, there's medicine. They got their shots.
It wasn't like it wasn't a branded
pharmaceutical.
Yeah, it wasn't. But it's amazing. Yeah. Like people were upset. Like, why does this strip have to be political? Yeah. And it's like, well, like,
it wasn't.
It's like, politics enters it just because
it's politicized. It wasn't political. That's what it was. The idea was politicized, but the disease itself was not political. I'm sure someone is now writing not right now because we're doing this live. Someone did, and you know what? Their opinion is theirs, and I'm not going to tell them they're wrong, and that's fine. But this is the way. I'm not going to say you can't say that because then I can't say what I'm saying. But it's a matter of we knew. I think we were both going to have a little difficulty in writing that strip if we weren't addressing it. I think we would have felt like we were hiding a little, or for a strip that, again, foot on the ground, at least 1 foot on the ground, we needed that foot on the ground. We had stories. Their summer vacation, they couldn't go anywhere. So they each went into their own mind and had a mental vacation that they managed to bring the other characters. And Sally's was a flashback to something she remembered her dad. Her dad passed away when she was 10. An ice cream moment, and then she didn't realize at the time that dad knew he was going to die but didn't tell Sally, and that was a revelation that she found out her entire family knew and she didn't know, and that created a whole other story, which sounds dark, but it was just like, okay, she's going to mind, she's remembering a memory, and when you're older and you go back to a memory, sometimes you'll see it from a different perspective. It's like, this is a great experience that Sally can learn something from this. The other two stories are fun, and so no matter what I'm saying is, the idea of keeping it fresh is, it's just making sure, it's like anything else. Don't assume you know everything. Question what you know every so often, because otherwise you're not going to learn anything. And just look at things from a different perspective. That's crucial. So that storyline, I came in, I T-boned it with a completely other thing, and that helped. And it's just like Jim saying how he brought it from the universe to the planet and everything. Right. It's a matter of look at it differently. And Jim doing that added so much more to the story, to that joke, than I had. Because to Ted, it was this grand statement. It was this colossal grand statement. To Hillary was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah.
And she didn't say those lines of it. But yeah, and that's what it is. It's the perspective. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, as far as making it fresh, I think as a writer and an artist, it is making it if you're just repeating to get if you're just hacking it out to repeat it and get it out, it's
Yeah.
going to be stale. We're
Right.
making it interesting for ourselves, and hopefully
That's
that
first and
translates to the
foremost.
reader.
Yeah, I think that's
And I
conveyed.
think
And
that's
if I'm
crucial.
if I'm hearing this, what I'm hearing, I should say, is that it's not hard for you to keep it fresh. It's hard for you to not include freshness, right? It's trying to
Yeah,
pick. It's
it's
trying to pick what to put into it.
well, and I gotta
Um,
say, you know, when that story he was mentioning where it just kind of evolved into something else. So I used to write Flash Gordon. I
Right.
used to write and draw
Yeah.
Flash Gordon, and the best
Find those strips; they're
stories.
great.
The best stories the best stories to me was exactly that. Like, here's the time. It's like, okay, block it out. Here's the Sunday pages. Here's the time frame of the stories. And then once you start writing it, it goes off into a different direction.
Yeah,
And
you have to
those
follow
are
that story.
yeah. And if you follow it, if you lock yourself into the plot you already had, and this is actually Stephen King's On Writing, really
Which is a
focused
great
on
book.
this.
I love that book.
Yeah, he says, like, writing a story is like unearthing a fossil. It's like as you're writing it, you're getting off the dust and figuring out what it is. And if you have it locked in before you start digging what it is, you're missing out on story elements and something very exciting what could happen, because you're discovering the story as you're writing it. So I think that's also a way as far as to make it interesting. Once again, if you're making it interesting for yourself, I think it translates to the reader.
And
That's
because then you
ridiculous.
bring in the energy. It's not a task; it's a passion.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. And I will say this: story. So the New York City story, when they go, eventually Hillary meets her 23-year-old self who was living in Manhattan. I don't know how 23-year-old Manhattan. Oh yeah, because she's got several roommates. That's how she's able to afford Manhattan in like
19
10 years.
roommates. 19 roommates.
But yeah, but it's I didn't know that's where it was going. We knew we wanted to show parts of New York you normally wouldn't see in a comic strip in New York. And then it just kind of kept going. And then Hillary goes on this side quest. And then they have like fake Hillary, the family's dealing with, who doesn't know how to chew properly because, it's fake Hillary. And they're worried about her and everything. But it's just a matter of letting go.
Yeah.
And I think we hear the thing about comments, and we say occasionally every cartoonist, every writer, anyone who does anything you'll see nasty comments, especially in the environment we are now. But I think we've done our thing. We're really happy with what we had our say. Here it is. You're going to have a reaction. I remember as a kid, I had reaction strips like, I don't like this. I never would think to write to them and say you suck because why? But that's it. So like if you were a painter, you're not going to stay in the gallery right next to your painting and react to every reaction someone has to it. So I think we're very fortunate that people do like the strip. We know people don't like the strip because if everyone had the same reaction to the strip, I think we'd worry we were making some pretty bland sausage.
Well, I'll tell you, more people love the strip than do not. It's consistently in our top 5 on the site. So.
Write that down. Put it as a contract writer that everyone always.
Like, Sally is a hit, right? That's hence why we're obviously sitting down and talking about it.
That's the cover blurb.
There we go. We just need to make the book, and then we got a cover blurb.
We got to do
books. I like the plural of that, as opposed to. Just,
so do we, but we have to go one at a time.
Let's start with one. Yeah, one for learn how to walk, right?
We already know the book we're going to put together. We just have to actually do it.
Yeah. So
But,
before we end up and wrap things here, I did want to do just a quick lightning round. I mean, this is totally, softball.
Oh, let's see how lightning round works with us. I want to see how this goes.
I'll try to lightning it as
Cut
much
us
as
off.
possible.
Cut us off. Yeah.
But these are baseball, softball questions.
Okay.
And rapid fire. So, for both of you, same time. Favorite character to write or draw?
Jim, I'd rather you answer that first.
Okay, as far as Sally Forth goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, your secret underground newspaper comic that we haven't brought up yet. Oh my God, it cannot be seen in normal papers.
No, but writing and drawing Flash Gordon, I would always be like, oh, this is what I want to draw, so I'm going to write a story about it.
Yeah.
Cool. I think for Sally Forth, it's generally Sally. I like the main character having the strongest voice.
How about you,
Jim? I like that.
I admit, every so often I don't do that. What I love about what Jim does with Sally is that So he softens Sally's hair. It's actually a very neat thing that he does. He has a little no, because it was kind of a helmet. Because you do characters as silhouettes and
The
everything. And he
simplification
softens
of
it,
yeah.
and that's what happens, and that makes sense. But he makes it soft. Like when we had the purple dye, she left that in there for like a year and a half because here's the thing. This is what we're saying earlier. Lightning round screwed up, by the way. It's dead. So killed it. Took it out back crossbow.
I'm gonna get something to drink. I'll be right back.
No. So several years ago, Ted lost his job.
Yep.
It took Ted a year and a half in real time to find a job because I thought if he loses his job and gets a job 2 weeks later, what does that tell anyone who actually just lost their job and is struggling? It's a slap in the face. It wouldn't be a kind thought. It wouldn't be acknowledging of how difficult it is. So Sally looked for a job for a while. So whenever anyone's lost a job, it isn't like at the end of the episode, they got a new job. No. So we do have to acknowledge, we like to acknowledge what the reader's going through and not be dismissive of their thing. That said, let me actually answer the question you just asked. Listen, Ted allows me to pretty much write anything. And Ted is my inner child if I wore him as an exoskeleton. So, But my favorite character, oddly enough, to write is Faye. Because Faye is essentially every friend I had who was straightforward but never cruel. Blunt but never mean. Faye, I think, is a fantastic friend. She is honest, but she's never doing it in a way as to make Hillary upset or anything or say you were stupid. She keeps in things. So I've had these friends who have essentially been like lodestars or guideposts to help me through it because for someone who's insecure and someone who is shy, when you have a friend, therapy time. When you have that, you want the very straightforward character. So Faye's my favorite character to write.
We're joined by one of your friends here. Who is this?
Oh, here we go. This is Lilo.
Lilo.
Say hi, Lilo. Yeah, Lilo's original name for 2 days was Lilu, as in the Fifth Element. And then you find out Lilu's hard to say repeatedly. So here we have Lilo.
Right,
and Jim is getting a drink or he's making himself a sandwich. I'm not quite sure what's happening
something.
here.
I think he's going into the.
He's making his own cat. He needs to bring in a pet. Make a cat.
He's breaking out his inner Dagwood right now.
So, okay.
He got tired of standing. He's like, I'm sitting for this. All right, let's do this.
I have friends too.
There you go.
Who is this? Who is this, Jim?
This is my pet cow.
Bring it more into frame. It's out of frame. Put it more in the center. There you go.
Ignore the hand.
You know, Alex.
Everywhere. If he's going to show off his cat,
it's the same markings.
You can't lose. You can't lose.
Notice how I didn't do that with my cat, by the way, Jim.
I know you did.
You can't lose with a cat. You can't lose with a cat.
By the way, this is going to be the old reference that is going to overshoot Alex. There's a show called Too Close for Comfort. I imagine that's part of the inspiration of your cow, Jim. Is it?
No.
But remember, he used to draw it with the cow.
It's just synchronicity.
Yeah, Space Cow, whatever that strip was. Yes. Anyway, go ahead. We've answered 6 other questions. Go.
It's okay. Drink coffee or tea.
Coffee.
Coffee.
Why coffee?
Oh my God.
Tea is for me to relax. Yeah. Tea is for me to relax, even though it's caffeinated. Coffee is for me to wake up.
Gotcha.
Do you ever see Ted Lasso drinking tea? Where he's like, yeah, no.
No.
That's me with tea. It's like, yeah, that's not a thing.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't like herbal
coffee.
tea, though.
Okay.
I can't have herbal tea. Yeah.
Okay.
That was our fastest one. Try another.
I think that answers this one. Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Night.
Really?
This is why we'll never get along.
Yeah.
This is why our relationship is doomed. This is why he married someone else. This is why I'm finding someone. This is why
Can two divorced men share an apartment without driving each other crazy?
I'm hearing the odd.
Yes, with two Felixes. Yeah, but yeah.
No, I have to work during, like, I get up, I have no, like, night is creativity. Daytime, I get the work done, but nighttime is more creativity.
I wake up at 5. I try to take a walk by 6 a.m.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I write. Basically, if I can get all my stuff, a lot of people, if I can get most of my stuff done by 2, then I've hit my high energy level. So I do most of my work then. So yeah, we can't call each other because one of us is in our business session. I can't have
One of us is not there.
We're not in sync. Yeah.
Pencil or digital?
Pencil.
Pencil. I don't nearly draw as much as Jim, but I prefer pencil.
Okay.
And I can use Wacom, but like I said, I do a lot of stuff digital,
Yeah.
but pencil is, there's something about the tactile nature of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then last one word to describe Sally Forth.
Really? You're going to ask us one word?
I
That's
want to know.
That's
I want to
this.
see. I
This is
want
the
to see you
challenge.
do one word.
Mesmerizing. No. You know what? Because we actually discussed it, and I hope it's true, relatable. I hope it's true, on the whole. I mean, I could say fantastical, I could say enjoyable, but I hope in the end it's relatable. Jim?
Jim?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a word for that, just kind of, because you look at a comics page sometimes and just a word that means like it just kind of, as far as jumping off, because like as far as having Godzilla in there, as far as having these demons in the strip, just something out of the ordinary isn't one word. How about if I do hyphens? Out of the ordinary.
I think we could try to make it out of the
Yeah,
ordinary.
but as far as, I'm not the wordsmith, but that
I will say this. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not conscious, but we do try to make a strip that attracts eyes because we're in a business,
right?
But we also want it to be for the story. Everything is driven for the story and for the characters. But we grew up where you'd have the full page of the comic on the back of the Daily News, whatever, everything like that. And we just want to, what I think about, this is the long answer. So Bloom County, years ago, he did a strip that was a fake ad for an Apple computer, full ad. And all it had was, who's the bassist from Kiss? What is it, Gene Simmons? And the thing was just, Gene Simmons' mom never bought him an Apple computer. They called it Banana Junior. It was like, this. Look what his life became because he didn't have it. It was a full page ad, and that was it. And also Calvin and Hobbes, when they did the strip, that it was supposed to be like a soap opera strip until you find out it's just him and Susie arguing at the end because they didn't want to play a thing. And it's like, if we can bring that visual thing to stand out, which Jim can do in his sleep. Well, he's not sleeping. He's working at night.
Yeah. Never sleep.
Yeah. Listen, there's no way this word isn't going to sound, articulate, arm, pat, own back. But, and I think every artist tries this, but singular, visually. What Jim's doing is visually singular. So singular, I would say. I'm speaking of Jim because if I said it with me, that would just be, dear God, what the hell is his problem?
Then you.
But for Jim, Jim is, and I said Mike Manley's fantastic. So for this strip, for the purpose of this strip, when you're looking for a family comic strip, I think Jim's art is singular. And I mean that in all the
I'll use that.
ways.
I like that. I do like that. Well, this is great, fellas. Before we wrap, of course,
we've taken up all your time. I know it's like 5 o'clock and now you got to go. It's like, well, that's it.
Not at all.
For the last 45 minutes, bathroom break in the back of his head. But we just kept talking.
It's like the cock is growing, Nosferatu's getting burned. Like, it's, what day is it?
Not at all. The downside of virtual is that we do put it into it, especially myself. I put it into like work days and schedule days and everything. But real time in real life podcasting or doing this again, if we get to do this again in real time, would be great because we can just spend the day and shoot the shit, have lunch, drinks, all that fun stuff, right? It'd be fun.
Drinking session next time.
There we go. Now we got something.
Yeah. Lightning round with basically we can figure that out.
A shot after every question.
The art just gets
so. If you think we talk a lot now. If you think we talk a lot now, wait till it's just circuitous drunken babbling. That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. I'll bring my lav mic and we'll just do a remote session there. But I guess before we wrap, any teasers for upcoming storylines? I know we talked about Godzilla a bit, but beyond that.
We're in the middle of our essentially a cozy murder mystery without the murder because it is a thing. So that goes through August, and it also deals with one of the worst theme parks ever known. It's based on an actual theme park that if you know anything about what was the worst theme park, you know which one we're talking about already. There have been documentaries about it. But I grew up seeing the commercials for it, and I wanted them to go, and I'm amazed that, it's a dangerous theme park. They're enjoying it. And there's the painting that Ted is trying to figure out who destroyed is a painting I actually did when I was 4. I sent Jim the art of it, which my dad had framed, which was I always thought was special. So yeah, there's that. I would say there's a Thanksgiving strip. There's Sunday. There's a lot of fun Sundays in October for Halloween. There's a Thanksgiving strip that actually focuses greatly on two new characters that I think we have a lot of fun with, Pat and Deb, which are Laura, Sally's friends, and they have a remarkable history there. It's like I think they were borderline crime lords. And yeah, and I can't tell you the Christmas strip because even though I've written January and February, I don't know what the Christmas strip yet. Although I'm going to tell you this, Jim, it may be Ronin based. We maybe have flashbacks. We may discuss this.
Well, and
Ronin
and
is
just so
also
you know,
a fun
like,
character.
he has so much, like, one thing he may not know also is I do not, like, he has written months ahead of what I've drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So I do not read those in advance. I don't
Tell
like to
CJ that.
No, but like, I appreciate that. Yeah, it makes my life so much easier. He has advanced copy to me, but I don't skim ahead on the scripts unless it was like the mystery story where I had to know how it ends so that I could draw stuff.
That must
But
have been
I don't,
a pain
like,
in
as
the
far as
ass
what's
contact
happening,
tool.
he knows and I don't right now.
Yeah, no, but I'm going to give it up for Jim because this current one is a series of flashbacks, and Jim had to keep making sure everyone was wearing the right outfit in the right panel. And I wrote these complicated things. As soon as I was finished, it's like, I think that family's going to hate me because I've just driven their dad nuts with all this thing. It's like, oh dear God. But Jim is
No, and
the other thing I'll give.
David Stroh also at the colorist, where if you're doing flashbacks and stuff, that is also keying into it. He's not doing the colors of everything going back and forth a million times. Like, that's, you know, and once again, it's deadline stuff. It isn't, and you know, editors are on top of that, and we're getting it done, baby.
But again, to Jim's art, it never felt like it was just getting it done, and I mean that sincerely. I'm always happy to read. I don't read my stuff and I don't go yay me or anything like. And this also applies to Mike Manley, by the way. So I want to stress this. I'm happy to look at what I wrote because of how it was illustrated. That's what gives me joy. It's like now I get to see what this is. Now I get to watch the movie, and they make great movies.
Well, Jim, if I do say so myself, that's a hell of a compliment. That's and a testament to your work.
I'll cut him down later.
So
Jim, anything?
Society,
So Jim, anything you want to say? You've been no, I'm kidding.
Well, guys, this has been fantastic. I hope our audience enjoyed it as much as I have right here sitting down between the two of you. Every time I get to talk to the two of you, it's an awesome time, and we've recorded this.
This is great. We won't see each other again until the next time you do one of these things. So we have to keep it. We have to sear the image of each other on mind in case we forget what we look like.
Yeah, what is it, about every 6 months or so? No, I kid.
But I want you to edit this down to like 10 minutes. That would be great.
I might do a supercut and show you what happens when I edit down to 10 minutes.
Yeah,
it's a bunch of consistent.
Every answer is one word.
Every answer is just like conjunctions. You know, that's it. There's no complete sentences because we tried. We really did try.
No, you did more than try. This is really good. It's been fascinating. Thank you again for sharing your insights, the journey, both of you, and of course, just keep bringing the smiles to all of us here.
And quick shout out. We mentioned this before. As far as Flash Gordon, I got that Flash Gordon 3-page story coming out in Flash Gordon Adventures. Paper Cuts is
Hillary reads it in the comic strip this week. Yeah.
Just want to throw that out.
Yeah, definitely. Big shout out to Mad Cave and all the wonderful work that they're doing there.
They're doing fabulous work.
And Jim, obviously your previous work and what you're doing now with the Flash Gordon Adventures again. I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's November-ish, correct?
That's coming out in November.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome time. Well, actually, and that's a great segue into Francesco. Do you have anything that you want to promote?
I got nothing.
Because I think I'm gonna frame the I could pee on this. I kid you not. That was like my crowning moment. I went to Mocha just for that. FYI, CJ's hearing this like, what? No, I kid.
No. Well, I'm presenting book pros. I'm going to be in Portugal for a couple of weeks to take my mom there because that's where she's from. And yes, I'm working on book proposals. And should something happen, I will let you know. But trust me, I'll let you know. But yeah, I feel very fortunate to work on the strips. And Sally Forth is the longest job I've ever held. and hope to continue holding. And listen, this is weird because I'm not married, I don't have kids, but Sally Forth is my family. And it's great to be able to write this. And basically, Jim once told me it's like everything he needs to know about me, I put in the damn strip. But it's really a remarkable opportunity I was given, and I'm very fortunate.
Well, we feel equally as fortunate to have you and Jim working on the strip. And
Thank you.
As always, keep bringing the smiles to all of us Sally
We
Forth
will.
fans. With that said, Sally Forth is available daily on comicskingdom.com, newspapers nationwide, and
select IMAX screens.
And select IMAX screens, soon to be 4D screens, and everywhere else VR.
There's a trailer at the beginning
DVD
of Superman.
with
You'll
the
see
extra commentary too.
The Criterion DVD. Get the whole deal. Make sure you get the complete
commentary. 3,000 hours of us talking about the strip.
Oh, by the way, Jim, you know when I had them say, don't worry, we'll still watch their Criterion Closet videos in one of the strips?
Yeah.
I was really hoping they'd see that and maybe they invite Jim and I to be in that damn closet so we could just rate it. And
we're waiting.
It's like Natasha Lyonne when she was in there. She treated it like supermarket sweep. It's like 700 videos in a bag.
I'll send a note to the powers that be. Right?
Yeah, you
We'd
know
appreciate
people.
it.
You know people.
Yeah, you know people. We don't know anyone. Yeah. We're in our bubbles. Yeah,
right. Thank you again.
It's never going to end. You're never finishing this. I just want you to know this podcast is your hell. You are never getting out of this, Alex.
This is your hell.
This is Sally, right? No, but thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you again, and see you next time.